Well, here we are yapping about Lost Ark again. With LOAON last night and basically the only person who doesn't stream, it is now my turn to talk about my thoughts on LOAON. Mostly going to use this TLDR Reddit post here. New region, looks nice, not much to say. Now, Wild Soul, I had a feeling that it was going to be a gremlin, a specialist. These little things are the top 2 most played classes in Korea. Soon to potentially be top 3. Now, I did not expect it to be like a druid-like class. But like, some of these animations are pretty goofy. You have the Mario 64 ground pound. I'm willing to give it a shot, and to be honest, people take Lost Ark a bit too seriously, as if we're not all just a bunch of clowns for playing pay-to-win Korean MMOs. Now, female Paladin, that's pretty hype. That is something I've actually been waiting for a while. For the last year or so, I've actually considered reviving my Paladin, but I didn't want to do all the catch-up on the character, and there was a part of me that was assuming that female Paladin had to be a thing. Now, there's a lot of hope and cope that this is going to fix the support shortage, and honestly, like, my belief is yes and no. Because the issue is that the support shortage is mostly on the front lines, doing the hard mode of the new content on launch. People tend to alt their supports to be rats and get easy runs. And I think the people who are going to frontline with a female Paladin are going to be people who are actually playing support already and not adding to the pool. I just do not think that female Paladin existing is going to make people say, oh, now I want to be a support main. Because the people who aren't already playing support, they generally have a problem with the lack of feedback playing a support. It overall just doesn't feel good to them, especially if they don't play or don't use meter. There's not really good metrics to find out if you're doing well because everything is skewed by the party. You could be the top 1 support with perfect uptime, but if you have 2 dead people and somebody gooning off the side, you're not going to beat the guy who has 3 giga juicers with really shitty uptime. Me, for example, I am going to probably replace my artist with my female Paladin once it comes out, unless I want to try to rat up a little bit more and double support it, which I'm going to reveal I might actually finally shoot my scouter. Smilegate just hates that class, man. So what's next here? A new raid, they mine G1, new bosses, yeah. I think overall this was kind of expected. The entry level seems to be on par with the rate that they've been going. Then we have the Kazuros raid, and honestly, my biggest curiosity is kind of where they're going to go from here. Initially, I was really hoping before they revealed that their new game was Lord 9 or whatever, that they were actually working on like a Lost Ark 2. However, maybe it is a good thing that didn't come true because that game is like a mobile NFT game. I think I'll wait till a little later to touch base on the Lost Ark 2 topic. Next up, we have the strike raids, and overall they seem pretty cool. I think it is a good idea to have a 4-player matchmakeable version and then a 8-player like try hard kind of version. Overall, I think this might be like a test to see how this works. I think if it is very well received, I think we could see a potential for this kind of content to be normalized. Now, what does concern me is they never talked about any of the progression or rewards for any of these raids. The cynic in me says they are that bad that they're not even going to tell us. Like, I'm going to say it, my favorite type of progression in this game is when normal and hard are the same rewards and it's not like a huge time gap between the two. I think that is the healthiest design to support a more diverse community of like casuals and hardcores. But the truth is, monetizing hard mode absolutely works, so I probably expect it. Now, new solo mode stuff, you love to see it. With Theamine and Echidna now being in solo mode, that means all of tier 3 is now soloable. I can only assume this is going to lead to more positive reception, which might encourage them to keep on pushing tier 4 into some solo mode content as well. And I think knowing that they are willing to actually keep on going forward will create a space and an opportunity to have that kind of player. The type of player who doesn't have to give in to community FOMO, they can just go with solo mode. Because up until now, we weren't really sure if they were going to keep on going with it, which kind of made it like, should I keep on playing or am I done? Do I have to start doing grouping content as a new player doing solo mode? Because there is absolutely a lot of people who just prefer solo content. And you might say, oh, well, then maybe Lost Ark isn't for you, but like, as we'll talk about in my video I'll be releasing in the future that I recorded the other day about PoE 2, there just is no replacement for this class and raid design. Late spoiler alert, since this video is getting priority shipping. Moving on, gold nerfs, yeah, to be expected. New Guardian raid, cock and ball torture for positionals, more reason to pick up that Paladin, just saying. Now the Arc passive system changes, this is really what I've been talking about. This is how I wanted Arc passive to be implemented from day 1. As now, Arc passive is actually going to be pushed down all the way to tier 2. This is a good way to streamline the experience, the power, the growth, and also to just give newer players the ability to not have to learn 2 systems. I do not think it's good design for somebody to learn what all the accessories do, and then tomorrow, the next day, when they move on to Arc Passive, had to relearn how everything works, especially as a new player. And so with this, I think the old system is just effectively now dead. Oh, and then Transcendence and Elixirs. This is like what, Elixir change number 5? Now don't get me wrong, any nerfs to these dogshit systems is great, it's welcomed. However, as you probably know, I don't agree with this idea to just try to redeem these horrible systems that nobody really likes. To me, they missed a huge major opportunity to just yeet these systems to some degree. With the Arc Passive change, I would have loved to see them incorporate both these systems with the Arc Passive and just had them unlock as you clear Ivory Tower and Thamine. Just normalize the stat gains for both of them. And then for the optional things like Elixirs, just had a page where you get to choose one of the nodes to pick whatever set you want to use or whatever armor bonus you want to use for your chest. Because to me, there is one major design problem with Elixirs. I don't think people should have to recraft Elixir sets to switch sets. I think you should be able to switch between them on the fly. For supports, Elixirs actually changed their playstyle to some degree. For DPS players, it's like, hey, well, one spec uses this Elixir and one spec uses the other. That sucks if I ever want to play them both. So now I either have to craft another Elixir set or I have to make another engraving kind of set to revolve around that lack of crit or too much crit. Now the hope is that they're going to nerf it down so much that it is basically free. And of course also not that time consuming, but only time will tell. Then we have music sheets. Next, but no, actually I think it could kind of be pretty fun for a good laugh. Like, I bet when somebody dies in a raid, somebody's going to try to pull up the piano and just play on their corpse. DMing somebody knows no bounds, though something tells me you probably won't be able to just pull that out in combat. Then we move on to the Land of the Gamba Jar, more collectibles, oh boy. Then of course we have our new Makoko event, which yeah, I mean it makes sense. Korea actually gets new players, though I'm gonna be honest, this does not look like as jacked as Ignite. Chaos Dungeon being once a day is kind of funny since, you know, most people have their alts at 1640, so they're already doing Curse End for once a day. In general, way too late to think, but also better late than never. But since Korea does actually have new players, they will definitely benefit from this. And then we have some other good QOL changes. I'm not really too sure how I feel about grouping of buffs and debuffs. I actually do look at my buffs and my timers all the time, so to not have them separated would probably be bad. Luckily, it does seem optional. Challenge content deleted, good riddance. Then we got Enchilada Hair and Ling Xiaoyu. Yes, there are male hairstyles too. Mage neck is still giraffe. Fighter poses still W. Makoko curses, I'm all for it. And that's really about it, just some cosmetics. So going back, I yapped a little bit about wanting Lost Ark 2. That is still absolutely my dream for me. Let's be honest, Lost Ark is a very old game. We're using a 2006 engine. And, you know, to their credit, they're milking it really good. Like, this game looks really good for Unreal 3. But I think overall, like, a lot of the big flaws with Lost Ark is actually just that it is a suffering from success game. Because we are effectively just making that giant Jenga tower here. But the truth is, Lost Ark isn't in a state where they need to consider these kind of foundational changes. While hard resets and just new games do bring in a ton of people, they're just not in a state where they need to be concerned with that. The game is still doing pretty great in Korea to my knowledge. Last time I saw them on the PC Bang list, the lowest I ever saw them was at like 8th. China and Russia, I'm sure they're doing fine. Here in the West, I mean, yeah, our concurrent player has definitely dropped and there definitely is a lot of bots. But I think the game is still far from dead, and also the fact that they even were to live subtitle their LOAON stream for the West kind of just shows that, hey, we bring them in a lot of money probably still. So the truth is that Jenga tower is still very stable. So even though I didn't really expect them to make any major changes, I still think it is healthy to talk about the good or bad, and well, in this situation more so the good and what could have been better. Actually, no, I take that back. A lack of advanced honing changes actually is the L of the entire thing. I guess that's just gonna wait till LOAON summer. Overall, I would give LOAON maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10. Let's be honest, it was a lot of good stuff, but it just wasn't complete solutions for problems. And I know for a lot of you, that's probably like still a low score. That's probably like, oh, he's still a doomer. But I don't know, man, it's my thoughts. Fuck, I guess I just put out the roadmap. Real quick, no major contents in December. Trail January, Wild Soul February. That is pretty roughly what I expected, you know, the Gremlin to be like OP on launch and then nerfed by the time it comes to the West. Though I am glad to see that they're actually just keeping the name. Let me know what you think about LOAON and the roadmap in the comments. And if you do decide to become a Wild Soul main, make sure to always join Coddy's parties.
You thought you'd never see me again, didn't you? Well, too bad. I'm alive.